In this tutorial, we will look at multiplying square binomials. When multiplying square binomials, it results in the first term squared, and then it's either plus or minus depending on the sign. Twice the first and the second terms multiplied together, and then plus the last term squared. And when there's not an I involved, it is always plus. So let's go ahead and use our box. So we have 3x plus 5, 3x plus 5, and it is square because they're both exactly the same. So I multiply them together and I get 9x squared plus 3 times 5 is 15x plus 15x, and then 5 times 5 is 25. Notice that these are exactly the same. So when we multiply 3x times 5 and get 15x, we double it and we get the middle term. So we end up with 9x squared plus 15x doubled is 30x plus 25. In letter B, we're going to try this again. So we have our square, 9x minus 4 and 9x minus 4. 9 times 9 is 81x squared minus 36x. And then we have minus 36x. Negative 4 times negative 4 is plus 16. And then again, we have negative 36x and negative 36x are exactly the same, and that's because 9x times negative 4 is negative 36. So if we double the two terms multiplied together, then we will get the middle term. So we have 81x squared minus 72x plus 16. So if you notice, 9x squared is 81x squared. Negative 4 squared is 16. And then 9 times negative 4 is 36 doubled is my negative 72x in the middle. And if we notice that we have plus here, which results in positive here. We have a minus here, which results in a minus here. Let's go ahead and work on C and D, which have square roots. So we're going to start out with our box, and we have negative 6x minus root 12 and negative 6x minus root 12. So negative times negative is positive, so we have 36x squared. Negative times a negative is a positive 6x root 12. Negative times a negative is a positive 6x root 12. Negative times a negative is a positive. Root 12 times root 12 is 12. So again, if we look at the middle, here we are. We have exactly the same numbers, and if we multiply negative 6x and negative root 12, we get positive 6x root 12. So we just multiply them together and double it. And if we take negative 6x and square it, that's our first term. And we said if we multiply them together and double it, then we will get the second term. So we have 12x root 12. And then our last term is always positive. Now we can go ahead and use the box for letter D. And we have 7x plus root 5 and 7x plus root 5. So that's 49x squared plus 7x root 5 plus 7x root 5 again. And positive times positive is positive. Root 5 times root 5 is 5. So again, we notice that these are exactly the same, and it's composed of these two terms. So 7x squared is 49x squared. And if we take 7x root 5 and double it, I get 14x root 5. And then if I take positive root 5 squared, I get plus 5. Let's go ahead and look and see how that changes when I have I. So we'll make our box. We have 11x plus 2i and 11x plus 2i. So that's 121x squared plus 22xi plus 22xi, and positive times positive is positive, 2 times 2 is 4, I times I is I squared, but we know that I squared is negative 1, and so that means our last term is negative because of the imaginary numbers, where before it always used to be positive. We still have the middle terms that are the same, and they come from 11x times 2i. So in this case, we have 11x squared. We got that 121x squared, and then we multiplied 11x into I and doubled it, so we got plus 44xi. And then we squared the last term, and we got negative 4. Let's do that again on the letter F. So we have 13x minus 15i and 13x minus 15i. So that's 169x squared minus 195xi minus 195xi. And then negative times a negative is a positive 225i squared, which is really 225 times negative 1, which is negative 225. And we still notice that the middles are the same because they come from 13 times negative 15. So we have 169x squared, negative 195 doubled is negative 390xi, and then minus 225. So we know that the last term is always positive unless we have I, because it becomes I squared, which is negative 1. We know the middle term is our two terms in our original multiplied together and doubled, and then our first and last terms are the first term squared and the last term squared.